Well, this whole Boy Scout thing is getting out of hand. A lot of people have their opinion, throwing in their 2 cents on this issue, and I'm like, nobody's really offering a solution. Because the problem is, and it's not like the military, where we repealed Don't Ask, Don't Tell, and nothing really happened afterwards. Because in the military, it's a whole different environment than the Boy Scouts. It's not as fruity as the Boy Scouts. I'll just say that. But uh, um, seriously, though, in the military, you cannot leave. So for those that were threatening to leave because gay people were going to join the military, openly gay people, that didn't happen because it's almost an impossibility. If you signed up for the military, you can't leave. You'll be court-martialed if you know, don't fulfill your commitment. But in the Boy Scouts, I don't think that is the problem. I don't think that they will hold anybody hostage. And if you have homophobic parents, which there are many of them, I mean, you have Mormons and Roman Catholic. I mean, what do you expect? This is one of the most iconic right wing organizations. And I'm sort of also like, what the fuck? Why do gay people want to join the Boy Scouts? But I guess, fine. You think that being a Boy Scout makes you special, makes you more dignified or honorable? Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. We have caught many Boy Scout masters and Boy Scout leaders, you know, humping some of these kids. Oh, yeah, that's very good morals and values that the Boy Scouts instill on people, right? It's like this whole notion: if you're very holy and wise, and oh, you're a bishop, you're a priest, you are a minister, and then what do? With that kind of status and prestige, you can fool people into believing that you're sort of this like, little angel, but you're not. You're a fucking beast, and you molest kids, and you defraud people out of their money, like in certain cases. But in the Boy Scouts, what we have is that the parents, the homophobe parents, are very serious about this, and they are willing to take the kids out of the Boy Scouts if this changes. And maybe that is a serious threat. And those threats are coming from the Mormon Church and from the Southern Baptist Convention and the Roman Catholic Church. So that's where you get those are the three, the three stooges right there that are trying to make a big fuss about this. And they will lose members if they lift the ban. They will. Remember, these conservatives and reactionaries are very united. I mean, they are a very united group. Though small compared to the rest of the population, they're pretty much a really solid bloc, especially in the South, in the Midwest, and all the red states. And if you have seen what happened with the Chick-fil-A fiasco, where gay people were calling for the boycott of Chick-fil-A, and Mike Huckabee, that fat ass, came out and said, oh, we need a Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day, and all these right-wingers, Sarah Palin, all these stupid reactionaries and dumbasses came out and stuffed their face with deep fried food shit. Oh yeah, that's very impressive. That's very moral of you. And so what's going to happen is, if the Boy Scouts, what happened is that the executive board didn't want to make that decision. In other words, here's what I think happened. And some people are saying, whoa, it's blackmail. Well, I don't know about that. But what I do know is that the CEO of, what is it? Was it Hewlett Packard? Or was it, AT&T, yes. The CEO of AT&T, who's a big backer of GLAAD, And there was a whole controversy with GLAAD and AT&T and getting involved in some sort of shady deals, but I'll talk about that later. But AT&T is really a big supporter of the gay community, and so they basically said, we don't want to be involved with a organization that's anti-gay. We're gonna lose all these, people that help us, like GLAAD and these other gay orgs. And of course, they'll look silly and they'll lose cred within the gay community. If you have the CEO being the chairman now, because the chairmanship of the board of directors of the BSA rotates every so often, and next in line to get the chairmanship is the CEO of AT&T. And so AT&T doesn't want to be a part of this. But what happened is they got so much flack from the Mormons, from the Southern Dixiecrats, Baptists, and from these reactionaries and racists. And they said, you do this, you change this, and we will cut your throat financially, basically. There will be so much heat. And unlike the military, we are going to pull out. Because in the military, you can't pull out. If you're homophobic and there are gay people in your unit, you just have to, take it. You're in the military. It's a whole different arena. Some people say that the Boy Scouts are about training you to be in the military. Well, not really. It's a really fruity club, to be honest with you. It's so pompous, too. But that's just my own opinion. And so what happened is the CEO of AT&T said, if you guys are going to decide to keep this, because I think that almost ended up happening. What I suspect is that the Mormons came down and said, if you do this, we will pull out. We have the money. They're the ones that are financially backing the whole operation almost. Who cares that AT&T or Amazon or any of the UPS or Verizon or any of these corporations don't want to fund the other sectors of the Boy Scout organization? If you go with this, we're going to pull out. And I think the threat was so real that they were supposed to decide. And they were going to decide to lift the ban, but then they'll say, oh no, but we can't do this. So the CEO of AT&T said, but I don't want this board to make the decision that, the board that I'm going to be a chairman of, in which I'm a current member in. So they said, fine, we'll just clean our hands. And we'll let the National Council, which will probably keep the ban and satisfy the Mormons and the Southern Baptists and the Roman Catholic Church, let them decide. And if they decide, which they probably will, to keep the ban, it's off our hands. We'll say it wasn't the CEO of AT&T, it wasn't all these other members of the executive board that did this. It was them. It was their fault. So that's the reason why they delayed it. It's not because, we need more time. No, it's because they want to pass the buck, basically, and blame it on these reactionaries of the National Council, and that's what's going to end up happening. Now, my solution is pretty simple. Well, I have a solution, I think. Some people have sort of suggested, most of them are reactionaries, right-wingers, why don't the gays have their own scouting organization? Actually, legally speaking, no, they cannot have a scouting organization. Huh? That's right, you heard correctly. It is against the law in the United States of America for another scouting organization besides the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts to start up in this country. I thought this was a free country. That's what they say. These stupid morons. They say, "Oh, it's a free country. Gay people should have their own organization." You mean our own scouting kind of group where we take gay boys up in the mountains and camp out for the night? I don't know about that's their idea, right? And yet they foam at the mouth when a Florida school wants to start a gay-straight alliance at a middle school. The parents get all pissed. They're like, "No, we cannot have this." It's just all stupid. It's all hypocritical. These are the same people that foam at the mouth when a gay-straight alliance is being formed at a local middle school or a high school. And then they're like, "Oh, wait a minute. If you want a gay Boy Scout organization, go ahead and do it. It's a free country." But yet, they turn around and they do this with this middle school out there in Florida. Dandy, isn't it? So what is the solution? Should we have our own gay Boy Scouts? No, I think the appropriate solution is this. Legally speaking, you cannot have a gay Boy Scouts or any other kind of scouting organization. The word and the term scout and scouting is actually trademarked and copyrighted by the Boy Scouts of America and the Girl Scouts of America. Nobody else in this country can use that word. Did you know that? Did you know that in America you can trademark and copyright terms and words that you made up? Scouting is a made up word in the way that it is used. If you use it with another word like talent scout, well, that's a whole different meaning. But if you say scout as in we go out and camp and shit in a hole in the ground behind a tree and weed baskets or something like that. I don't know what Boy Scouts really do. I don't really care. Then you can't do that because legally speaking, you cannot imitate the Boy Scouts or the Girl Scouts. It's against the law. You will be sued, and in fact, the Boy Scouts have already sued other organizations who use the word scout or scouting. So don't give me this shit, you right-wing conservatives. Don't give me this shit that, where the gays can have their own organization, leave the Boy Scouts alone. No, they know that's not a possibility, that's not even a reality. So what is the possibility then? If you keep the ban, a lot of these people that are in the Boy Scouts will leave the Boy Scouts. The Boy Scouts might lose some money from the corporations. The Boy Scouts will have a bad name eventually. And they will lose out on these local governments who don't want to give them a free ride. And I don't know. When you went to the Supreme Court, Boy Scouts, you didn't go there to get a right to rent-free property. I mean, if that is the case, then I want rent-free property. I want to live somewhere for free. Nobody in this country gets a free ride. It's not going to happen. But the Boy Scouts do. They have a right, an entitlement. It's really stupid. And yet, when we talk about Social Security or welfare, or Medicare or any type of help for the needy, people say, "Oh, those are entitlements. Get rid of them. You're not entitled to that. You don't have a right to economic security." Oh, but we have a right to get special treatment under the law. So that's what they do. So what's the solution? My solution is pretty simple. The Boy Scouts should have done this. Say, look, all right, we're going to rework the legal framework here. We are going to divide, schism, two Boy Scout organizations. And they will be called differently. I don't know, you can have like a Boy Scout Federation, or the Confederate Boy Scout or something like that for the right wingers who don't want gays or blacks or whatever. And then you can have another one for normal people who don't discriminate, who don't, you know, care about people's sexual orientation or proclivities. That's basically how normal people behave. We mind our own business, but oh well, whatever. So that's what we should do. And then those scouts who want to join that scouting group, they can join that. And you can have competing troops and competing councils and all that. And we can do that. It's almost the same as having their own, as the gays having their own scouting, but I don't think we should do that. We should just have two identical scouting, Boy Scout organizations, one for right wingers and one for the rest of us. And there we go. And I bet you the one that's not anti-gay or reactionary is going to be more open, and it's going to be a little bit more successful. That one can get donations from the Jews or from more logical Christians and rational people, and get government subsidies if they want. And the other one can just die on the vine. I mean, that's the way I see it. And then therefore, you can have two Boy Scouts organizations. But the only way that we can do that is if they work out the trademark, so that way they can license it or divide the rights to that word, to that term, scouting. So that's one way we can do that. But, well, let's see what happens.